Welcome.
to Dark Narratives. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Alexandria.
Well, okay, before we get started here, do you have anything else that's been going on? Anything fun?
I'm really into wide pants lately.
Really?
Yeah, because I just keep seeing how skinny jeans are out, and all I
Yes.
wear are leggings and skinny jeans. So I went to the mall and I went into a store and I found a young girl working there. I mean, she was probably
Yeah.
18, but
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can you help me with pants? And she did. So I bought two pairs of wide
Really?
jeans and I've been wearing them and they're really comfy. Lanny hates them.
It's funny that you say that because I also have been into wider pants.
Yeah,
So I've got it. They are what a life change, what a game changer.
I know. Somebody told me welcome to 2020, and I was like, yeah, took a few years, but yeah, I know I like them a lot too.
Well, I actually literally just started wearing them too because I'm always like feel like I'm suffocating in my clothes because I get like it's so freaking hot all the time. And so I was like,
Yeah.
let's try to be a little comfier. And yeah, I put them on and I was like, these are amazing. So I got like wider ones and then I have some like tighter straight leg ones and I'm loving them too. And it's funny that you say Lanny hates them because Dylan also hates them. He's like, I
But
hate
they're
them.
in style. Now we don't
He
look
just hates them
like
because they're
try
not
hard
tight.
millennial moms.
It's because they're not tight pants. And I'm just like, I want to be comfortable too.
And not look like you have style from 20 years ago.
Well, exactly. It took me forever to get rid of like not want to wear my skinny jeans.
No.
Okay,
But so
so
tonight you have something that's different.
yes, it's not a murder. It's not attempted murder or anything like that. It's not like anything that we have done yet,
They're
but
so fun.
hopefully I tell it good because it's a little bit different than what we've done.
Okay.
So tonight that I'm going to do a story that happened in Canada, Alberta, Canada. I wonder if you can think about what it is.
I don't know.
We've driven through it multiple times.
Oh, Frank Slide?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited.
I thought you might be because I'm sure you probably like, oh, I should look into this like just because you're curious, but then never do.
Well, anytime you drive past it too, there's such a feeling you get. Do you know
Yes,
what I mean?
a
And
hundred
it's just
percent.
right now, even just talking about it right now, I have goosebumps all over. And I just think about just everything that's underneath those rocks. But
I
yeah, go ahead.
know. We are going to talk about Frank Slide. In the very early morning of April 29th in 1903 in Alberta, Canada, some were sleeping, some were in the mine working the night shift, some was driving the mine train. I say mine train because it's like the train who goes and
Yeah,
they fill up the coal.
little wagons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When a train coming from the mine was headed towards the town over the bridge, when they heard a massive sound, like deafening. The
Okay.
train conductor was completely alarmed because of how loud the noise was, and not even knowing what was happening. He was like fucking full steam ahead.
Yeah, that would
When
be
is
terrifying.
right, and you can't see. It's dark out, and he went as fast as he could so he can see what the hell was going on and hopefully miss whatever was going on. From here, the conductor and the crew watched as the side of Turtle Mountain that kind of viewed over the town broke apart and came crashing down.
Just the earth opening up and destroying anything in its way.
Exactly. There was nothing they could do except stand there and watch. But
No,
this
exactly.
mountain came crumbling down at top speed and buried part of the town. sleeping families, businesses, homes. It completely blocked the mine entrance.
Were
This
there
town
people
was,
still in the mine?
yes, and we will get there. First, I want to tell you a little bit about Turtle Mountain, and I was interested to find out what the actual name of the mountain is because I never knew it. Oh, every single time I think of this place or we drive past this place, it's like I just think of Frank's Slide, it being called that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's called Turtle Mountain. It's not only massive, it is unstable. And it was labeled unstable from like the moment it was found, pretty much. It's
The
made
people
up of,
decided to live there?
yeah, so the First Nations before all of this, they knew and their ancestors knew never camp under this mountain because it is so unstable. It was ultimately labeled the mountain that moves.
Oh,
So yeah, I guess they could hear like rumbles and stuff like way back then too.
oof.
Isn't that okay? I just found that so eerie to think about now looking at this and like seeing it in person
Yeah, you
that
know
there
that mountain,
actually is a history.
going driving into Radium and you have to go
Yeah.
underneath that big rock.
Yeah.
They blast it. Yeah, every time we drive back home from there, it always freaks me out that one day something's gonna just erode.
Well, now, yeah, this makes me even more nervous actually, just from learning about what actually happened here.
And the fact
So
that they could hear it make sounds.
is so terrifying.
Yeah.
And it gets even more scary here. So it was made up of limestone, and that went over shale and sandstone, is how it was described, like kind of in layman's terms. And eventually the mountain created this humongous overhang to it. So it's like the
Okay.
mountain went up and like curled out. Now I just had the
And
Grinch in my mind.
and sandstone isn't hard.
Yeah, that's part of the reason the mountain was so unstable is from what it was made up
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and
Yeah.
and I'll tell you here too, like as we get going, kind of what contributed to those factors too on why it became even more unstable, like leading up to when it came crashing down. The conditions of the mountain had a really hard time keeping up with the unpredictable weather in Alberta, which if you are from Canada or Alberta, you know that the weather is so unpredictable. Over time, though, even with that nickname and everything, it was apparent that the mountain contained coal, which we know was very lucrative to set up a mining operation.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And
jobs
yeah,
and money. Yeah.
exactly. So with this came a small town and a mine camp. In 1901, the company Canadian American Coal and Coke Company, they founded and they set up shop. They threw like actually a lavish party for the opening. They sent out trains that would pick people up from around the areas and bring them back. And it sounds like it was for people who were somebody at the time. You know what I mean?
Okay. Socialites at the time.
Exactly. And they rode the train there and they were all fancy. And at this opening is where they presented the plans for the whole mining operation and that they intended to begin this immediately. And so they did. From here, the town grew to populate over like 600 people. And with that, it generated a school, a hotel, cottages, businesses that to run the town right under this mountain. So, with the town established and the mining beginning, this meant that deep shafts were being dug in the mountain in order to find the coal and start mining it. So, they're disrupting this mountain in a major way.
Yeah, they're putting holes in it, right?
Yeah, and all day, all night, no break,
Yeah, that's good.
which becomes a really big factor here. And I started to look into a little bit about being a miner. It is not for the faint of heart,
No.
right?
Have
And
you
I
ever
think
gone to a mine, like a tour to a mine that had been closed down? It's
no, I
insane.
haven't. And now I want to.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
Where did you go?
So in Europe, I
Yeah, that's good.
went into a mine. It was really creepy. They would have actual donkeys working down in the mines, and they had
Oh,
never seen sunlight, so they were blind.
excuse what?
Yeah, just weird stuff.
Oh my God. Like, did
Yeah.
you get like
I don't,
just weird vibes coming from it?
well, it just seems so unnatural to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Underground, it just
Yeah.
seems creepy.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there was a lot of physical dangers, mental dangers, health dangers that go with mining. Like, and I would imagine back at this time that wasn't really known yet. It is like extremely hard on your body in every way you can imagine. For instance, I don't know if they put industrial lighting up in there now, but certainly not at this time. So all they had to go down there with was their hard hat, and then they just work in the dark for hours and hours.
Well, what kind of lamps did were some of them gas lamps? Because that
Oh
seems
my
even
God.
more dangerous underground.
Yeah. So aside from not being the most equipped to even perform your job, there was, like I said, really serious physical dangers, like the mine caving in on you and being trapped in there. There's entrances and like supports that are built in the tunnels in the mine, but again, you're still disrupting rock formations and the dirt and everything. So even with that, it can definitely cave in on you. And there's many reports of that happening to miners. You also have some serious health risks. You actually can get carbon monoxide poisoning in there. There's lots of reports of lung cancer occurring after.
The black
Really,
lung.
yes, there's really no ventilation in there whatsoever. So you're just breathing in toxic air all day and all night. You also can just suffocate in there. Like, I'm not sure about this like risk reward thing. I don't know. This sounds just insane to me. There's also the mental toll, which I can imagine, which I'm assuming at this time that like these men didn't talk about it, what was happening. Imagine you're working in the dark all the time. In some cases, you're totally away from your family. And if they're there on the camp, you're just like passing through. So you're like alone all the time.
Oh God. And you're dirty all the time.
You're dirty. You probably can't breathe very well most of the time.
And it's not like they're working an 8-hour shift. I'm sure they work 12-hour shifts. I'm not sure, but I don't know why
Yeah,
I just
well,
said that.
yeah, like
Just assume.
long shifts, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Not
Like
for
a coal
me.
miner. Yeah, no. In this case, though, being that this was a mining town, some miners did move there with their family, and their families were able to stay in the mine camps in little cottages. The mine ran without any reported incidents up until 1903. And this year was actually full of very unpredictable weather that was just not favorable for that mountain, like I mentioned earlier.
And then remind me again, when did the mine open? So how many years did it successfully run without any incidents?
1901, it opened.
Oh, so 2 years. Well, that's pretty, I don't know, that's pretty impressive, I guess, with all the shit that could go wrong.
Yeah, I guess like with them digging in the mountain and everything for 2 years it held up with all the disruptions. It would be so like I said it was full like this year was terrible for weather. It would be really really cold and get tons of snow. And then they would go through warm spells and then it would get cold again. So then all of the snow that just melted would freeze again. In April, they ended up getting a lot more snow and then another cold spell before they headed into spring. So there's a lot of
The ground is shrinking and expanding from the different
yeah,
conditions.
exactly. Everything about this is just a disaster waiting to happen. Miners actually reported during the time of these cold snaps that they would often hear rumbling and echoing through the mine.
That is so scary.
Especially, this was fucked, especially between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m.
I was just gonna say it almost sounds paranormal.
It's okay. So in my notes, I was like, maybe this is the coldest time of the night, early morning, or it's also haunted. I don't know.
Something was trying to warn them almost.
In the time leading up to April 29th, there was also reports of like support beams. Remember how I mentioned there's the support beams in them that they would put up and the entrance, like big timbers?
Yeah.
Well, they started to shift and crack and like
Oh
splinter in places.
my God. They
Like
had to know something was coming.
well, yeah, like all these little things. And I could imagine that working in the mines, regardless, you would hear some noises and have to replace things. But it sounds like it was happening a lot more, like for there to be a pattern.
Yeah, they probably also didn't know any different too, right? It's not like they're on Instagram being like, hey, did your mind do this today?
Yeah, miners Facebook page.
Yeah, is this normal? They probably, yeah, didn't know any different. Maybe they thought it was normal.
Exactly. So now we're going to go back to when the mountain came crashing down, now that we know a little bit about the mountain and some information leading up to this happening. So once the dust somewhat settles, 2 minutes would have passed for absolute destruction to happen.
That's it?
Yeah.
Holy.
I did read
Horrifying.
somewhere that it was about 112 kilometers an hour, like how fast it
Oh,
was coming
holy
down.
shit.
Yeah. So it all happened within 2 minutes. Everything in its path was destroyed. People who were not in the destruction and had come out, like, so it hit part of the town, not the whole town. And that's sort of something that everybody thinks is the entire town was buried. And that's not true.
I thought that.
Me too. I did too. So people who were not in the destruction path, they had come out because of the noise of this happening, because they at first thought there was like some sort of huge explosion that had happened.
Yeah, I'm curious because they know how fa or they've assumed how fast it came down. I wonder if there's a decimal of how loud it was.
Oh, I wish I knew that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
They did say people all the way in Cochrane from Frank Slide could hear the mountain
Well, they
coming down.
could. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's insane.
So that's incredibly loud. But yeah, they thought maybe there was a massive explosion within the mine, something. I don't think your brain would ever go to, holy fuck, this mountain outside of my house is coming off, like
Oh.
and falling from the sky. So they come out, it's not an explosion. So people who were not buried almost 45 meters deep
Yeah.
and just at the surface were able to be rescued. There were some people who had died already on the surface. One of the employees of the mine operation who knew the train schedule remembered, fuck sakes, a passenger train is on its way here, like right
Oh
now,
shit.
and it will be here soon. So this guy takes off over the rock that has just fallen and like books it, trying to get to the tracks of where the train would be passing so he could wave it down. And he did. He got to this train and he stopped this train before it like went head on into the side of this fallen mountain.
Oh my God, a hero.
Right? Another miner who was off for the night and sleeping in his like cottage, he was literally thrown from his bed from the force
Yeah,
of,
I guess.
right? And so he gets thrown from his bed and hears a huge noise. And so he goes outside to look, only to see just, I keep saying mountain breaking off, but how else do you describe it? Like he comes out to see half of this mountain coming down and headed straight for him.
Oh, and it's actively coming towards
Yes.
him.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
actively
God.
falling. The mountain is actively falling as he goes out.
It's like an airplane flying into your window or something. Like
And there's nothing you can
that's
do.
where I picture. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Oh my God.
So he actually does survive though. And I didn't see too much about like how he survived, but he does survive, and he reportedly said that when it was done, when the landslide was done, he could only see a small portion of the top of his cottage that was like sticking out from the rock.
That's heartbreaking.
Search parties were obviously assembled like right away so they can see who they could find and reach. They also had
Yeah.
a separate one that just like focused on the mine entrance because, like I said, there was miners still in there when this happened. So they don't even know what happened,
And they're just stuck in,
and they're
yeah.
just stuck in
And
there.
and
The
so why would they be, because the mountain was on top of what they were mining, would they in theory be closer to to dig out because the mountain went away from them? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, yes, the entrance was completely destroyed, and I can't picture how it all looks in my head, but this is what I had read. They did try to get through, like dig through to get to the entrance so they can get to the miners, but they
Yeah.
couldn't get through. But while they were doing that, 17 miners that were trapped in there, they all worked together to dig through like a softer portion of it, and they were able to dig their way out, and they just like popped up from higher up the hill and saw the search
Oh,
team.
oh my God, 17 of them?
Yes. And that's all of them that were in there.
Team, oh, all of them. Oh, that's nice. They all got out.
Right? And like eventually some couldn't dig any longer, and so more like some took more on to get out, but they got themselves out. And how crazy is that?
Your adrenaline would just be pumping.
Oh fuck. Well, and it doesn't unfortunately end for them there because they obviously get out first to see what to hear what actually happened because they still don't know, only to come out to find absolute destruction.
Yeah, and some of them had their whole families there.
Some of them had their families there. Yeah, a lot of them unfortunately came out and survived only to find out that their family had died and were buried
Oh,
under all of this.
you would have such survivor guilt.
I This is a whole nother type of disaster that I can't wrap my head around because they're just forever trapped under this rock,
Yeah, that's their burial ground. That's it.
right? And so you just like have to live with the fact that okay, I know my family is under there and that's it.
Yeah, that's
You don't
fucked
know
up.
if like they survived and suffocated
Oh, I
or
don't want to think about that.
yes, or they got hurt and they couldn't move and nobody could hear. Like, oh, there's so much with this that just makes my stomach twist.
Yeah, you hope that they,
Like just
I don't want to
crashed.
say crushed, but things just happened quickly and they didn't feel anything.
I would hope, yeah, that they would have went as fast as it came down.
Yeah, yeah, 2 minutes.
Because everybody was sleeping too. Nobody had a chance to even like run anywhere.
No, yeah, how would you? You'd be so, even in the middle of the night, a loud sound happens. You're not sure if it was a dream or,
Exactly. Some searchers said that they would walk through the rubble while they were trying to find if anybody could be rescued and they would just see dead bodies. And
oh,
some of were two boys still in their pajamas.
no.
It makes me so sad.
That's
Ultimately,
so heartbreaking.
right? They were in bed sleeping, and then I hate it.
Oh,
Ultimately, there were about 23 survivors they were able to find.
oh,
About 12 bodies they could retrieve from the rubble. So like just under the surface, I guess, like where they could actually get them.
yeah.
And like as you would imagine, these people were torn right up.
Yeah, that would be horrific. You can imagine too, probably everything. I'm just thinking about the smells and everything.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Within
Because yeah,
Oh, that would be terrifying. And the sounds, oh,
the sounds. Yeah, it would probably be a ton of screaming and
like
freaking out. And
everybody's,
then
yeah.
as they slowly started to pass away, it would just get eerily more quiet.
Oh, that's scary. And everybody's like in like full adrenaline mode. Nobody knows what the fuck happened or what to do.
Yeah.
And there's no just like racing in police and helicopters and people to handle the situation. Like they're on their
Or
own until
anyone
they
to
can
really
get people to
contact.
come back in.
Yeah, and they'd have to send someone out on what, a horse?
Yeah, like a horse or a train.
Yeah,
Go get
and
them.
wait.
Bring them back like a long time. So that actually like within 3 weeks of this happening, they were able to get the railroad working again and the entrance to the mine open. So work can start. Like they were
What?
like, let's continue. Yeah.
What the hell, guys?
Like at one point the town was evacuated, but then eventually they were all let back in.
What? So,
Yeah. An investigation was obviously done right away. And I mean, an investigation that was done at that time, right? But they did, and still to this day, it is contributed to the condition of the mountain and also us impacting it, like humans impacting the mountain as well. Because we
Yeah,
said in the
disrupting
beginning
it.
multiple times that the mountain was super unstable and the weather was not helping it in any way, but we were also, the mining operation was also disrupting the mountain. And like we said, we don't know if anybody knew that that was a factor when they were mining back at that time.
Yeah, they could have thought that was just normal.
Around 100 residents and people passing by at the time, and homes and belongings of lives lived are buried about 45 meters down under the rock and forever frozen in time.
And no one's going to disturb it, but it would be wild to see kind of artifacts got preserved.
Oh, 100%. So even after all of this, the town continued to grow. And like they refer to the east and the west side of the town and everything because like I said, the mountain didn't come down on the entire town. So on the side that was okay, the town continued to grow. Still to this day, there is a serious concern for the mountain to come down, like the mountain coming down again.
Is the town that side still called Frank's?
No, eventually it morphed in with Crow's Nest Pass, and that's what we
Oh,
have
okay, that
today.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mine
And
continued after this right up until 1917.
wow,
Yeah, until it just
what
until
stopped
they,
them?
I don't know. I think I'm not 100%. There wasn't kind of a lot on that, which is
So
weird,
they
but
were kind of just they were just thinking, oh well, the mountain's down now, and nothing more is to
yeah, I mean,
unfold.
there was talk obviously that more of the mountain could come down, but they kept going up until, yeah, 1917, and then when they ultimately shut it down. Um, and speaking of like what might be under there, so they still had to get through that area. So they made a makeshift road and it was used for a really long time until like finally a real highway was added. And that was back in the 20s. And they did find bodies when they were making that highway. They found 6 of them.
In the 20s.
Hmm.
And were they able to identify them?
I didn't see anything about that.
Oh, could you imagine? You're just going to work to pave a road and there's a fucking body. I mean, it would
Yes.
be obviously bones, but still.
Yes, they found, yeah, 6 skeletons who perished in this accident.
Wow, that's so sad.
It's so sad. The last survivor, because there was some like babies that had survived. And you can definitely go down a big rabbit hole of myths and legends that have come from this. There was one where rumors going around that there was a bank under there with $500,000 still
Oh, really?
inside. Yes.
That would be a lot of money in
That's what
back
I was
then.
thinking. Yeah, 500,000. Say
Yeah.
that the bank, it was destroyed in 1911. So I don't know if something was done to squash that myth or what.
Oh, yeah, because people just, when people hear about gold being in the desert and then they go out
Yes.
and try and find it and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I seen that, I was like, yeah, well, money can bring a lot of people to the table.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, some people would say that they were a part of it and survived it.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, they'd go around
When they
saying that.
weren't, right? Yeah.
No, no. There was like just a little fun thing. There was actually a horse named Charlie that survived in the mine.
Aw. So he was stuck underneath there for a little while then before they got him out.
Yeah, he was drinking what was kind of seeping through the rocks, and he was sucking salt in his harness and eating at the timber. Except the poor
Oh,
horse.
survivor.
Yeah, but the poor horse, when they could finally get him out, died because he ate so much. Because he
He
was
died because he
starving.
ate. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't laugh. He,
Yeah.
that's so sad. So sorry.
Right?
I don't mean to
He just
laugh, but
like,
like he came out and he just binged himself to death.
yes, like a lab who like
Oh,
doesn't know when they're full.
oh, oh, that's so sad.
So sad. And he survived all of this just to die.
Hopefully he enjoyed his last meal.
But yeah, and then there was also, so the last person to survive this, she at the time of the accident was Gladys Ennis, I believe is
Okay.
how you say her name. She was only 27 months at the time.
Aw.
And she survived it when she was thrown and landed in the mud.
So her family died?
Her family died and she survived and died in 1995.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She was thrown in the mud. That's an insane story to have for a
Right?
party.
Right? I hope she
That's
doesn't
so,
remember too much.
21 months, so you're almost 2.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'd probably black the trauma out, but holy
Yeah.
shit.
I didn't go too far down the rabbit hole of myths and legends because there's just so much, and some of it didn't even make sense. Like, I
Yeah,
think because
probably
it's
so
so
much
old.
information. Playing telephone almost with information.
Yeah, there is a lot of information, but then there's also a lot of blogging and things like that.
Is there a museum or anything there? I haven't been past there in so long.
Yeah, so
I think you would agree that my son would probably be interested in this because he's kind of got
yeah,
a little more side to it.
100%. And it is very interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't know all that information. I didn't know that there was a whole side that was
Mhm.
untouched. I didn't know it was so loud or how fast it came down or that
Yeah,
they
and
went back to work after it.
yeah, it kept going. I know. I couldn't believe that. But yeah, they do. It's called they have like an interpretive center so you can go and learn about it and go and look at it. On the highway through there, you can pull off on the highway and kind of stand and look at these rocks and get a feel for how huge they are. Like the gravity of just how big this mountain was.
Yeah, they just came down in huge boulders.
Like why we can't just recover everything that is buried under there.
It's
But
just
yeah.
insane to think about. You know how sometimes you think about, oh, I'm going to be cremated or buried or
Mhm.
this is they're gonna say at my funeral or something just
Yeah.
weird like that. Or
Like death
you never think
running.
that, yeah, you never think a freaking mountain is gonna
I'm
swallow
gonna
you up.
die by being crushed to death, and I'm gonna lay there where I died for all
And
eternity.
yeah, just stay there.
And I always think about the belongings. You know what I mean? All the stuff that doesn't,
Shoes.
and bedding and couches and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like shoes and glasses, just
Yes.
stuff that wouldn't decompose, I guess.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking.
And it's so creepy.
Before we end here, I did want to just mention that the mountain is still monitored to this day and it moves just a little bit every year. They
Well,
have
mountains do grow, but they
100% and it's
shouldn't move.
obviously going to, yeah, so they have some sort of technology up literally at the peak of this mountain, which just gives me like shivers. They have some satellite up there right at the peak so they
You can
can
tell that
monitor
it's
what the
moving.
mountain is doing.
I wonder if it goes back and forth or if it's just slowly going like forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I tried to look into what machine is on there and exactly what it did, and it was just so much gibberish to
Way
me.
above our pay grade. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So I was like, okay, they have something up there monitoring because this thing's about to come down one day. So just beware.
There's people that have thingies for that thing.
Exactly. What do they say in the office? There's better people out there to take care of things.
More educated people.
Exactly. But yeah, that is a little bit different tonight, but I thought it was still super interesting.
I enjoyed that.
Good. That's it for tonight.
Okay, well, I guess we should tell people that they can find us on Dark Narratives Podcast at Instagram, Dark Narratives Podcast on TikTok,
You can also email us.
Dark Narratives Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes. And like we said before, send us any scary stories that you might have.
And that's it for this week.
Hauntings, scary things that
Remember,
might
it's a
happen,
dark world out there.
or-
See you creatures next week. To write in because he was saying how he has encounters every once
Oh
in a
my
while.
gosh, yes. So send those in.
Okay.
But other than that, we will catch you next week.
Thanks for listening.